Hello and welcome to Korea, the Altran Web TV show. On this episode, we'll be focusing on 5 essential tips on how to best succeed in interviews, covering different aspects, including how to take care of your appearance and which kind of questions to ask. Joining me on the panel today, Nuria Moreira, who is Employment Branding Manager from Altran Spain. Hello. Hi. We have Valeria Balestra, who is recruitment expert from Altran Italy.
Hello.
And hello. And Allegra Blask, who is recruitment expert from Altran Germany.
Hello.
Tip number 1, be prepared. It's important to make sure that you know as much as possible about the company that you're interviewing with. Nuria, perhaps I could ask you, what kind of thing would you suggest would be a good idea to find out about a company that you're interviewing it with?
First of all, the most important thing is to visit the website, of course, and to see what the company is doing. And when you know that, please demonstrate your passion about that. And it's a good point to be a good candidate. So also we recommend to work on a SWOT analysis, that it's to work on your strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats.
Very difficult, I always find, that question with the weaknesses. I'd like to ask you, Allegra, what you would recommend as an answer to that question when somebody says to you in an interview, what are your weaknesses?
Yeah, so I should recommend to be honest with the weaknesses. So for example, if a person is forgetful, you can tell that, but also tell how to overcome that weakness. So for example, to have a notebook where to write down the main important points, not to forget.
Okay, so you talk about the weakness and then you talk about what you've done to solve your own weakness, yes. Basically. Thank you very much. Tip number 2, be well rehearsed. It's very, very important to practice what you're going to say in an interview. Make sure you know what you're going to say. Make sure that your speech is coherent and in line with your CV or your cover letter. Valeria, can I ask you, how would you recommend getting the balance between being spontaneous and being prepared?
This balance is very difficult for our candidates, so I suggest to prepare the introduction, repeating that in front of a mirror or recording a video. There are 3 important areas to being prepared in. The first is professional and technical skills. The second is motivation about the company. And the third is answers to standard questions.
Absolutely. Now, can I ask you, we're talking about motivations within the company. Nuria, would you say it's also important to prepare questions about your own future within the company?
Absolutely. It's also important to think your life in this company. So to think what kind of professional career do you want to have in that company, and to be prepared also for the question, what do you want, how do you see in this company in the future, etc. And maybe to make an action plan.
Excellent advice. Thank you very much, Nuria. Tip number 3, take care of your appearance. It's important to consider what kind of image you're going to portray in the company that you're interviewing at. Think carefully about what you're going to wear and how that reflects the kind of employee that you're visiting. Allegra, maybe I could ask you, for example, at Altran, what kind of thing would you recommend people wear to an interview?
So because our consultants work in a professional environment within the client's companies, I would also recommend them to wear professional clothes. So for men, that would be to wear a suit and also probably a tie. For women, a business dress or a blazer with a tie. There's one applicant we had in an interview who was wearing a tie in the Altran blue. So that was really impressive because he really made up his mind what to wear in the special.
So that really caught your eye, the Altran blue tie. Yeah. So there we go. We'll see how many people get that now. Tip number 4, have appropriate body language. It's not just what you're wearing, it's also how you're sitting and how you're speaking as well. It's very important to make sure that the way you move is giving the right message in an interview. Valeria, how important would you say body language is during an interview?
Body language is very important because communication is often not only what is said, but mostly how something is expressed verbally and not verbally. I suggest to our candidates to be smiling during an interview, have a pleasant and clear voice, and always maintain a good eye contact.
Excellent tips. Tip number 5, have the right style of speech. It's not just what you're saying, it's how you're saying it, and it's very important to focus on using the right language in an interview and one that fits in with the company that you're interviewing at. Perhaps I could ask you, Nuria, could you give me some examples of the kind of speech not to use in that kind of interview situation?
Yes, maybe when the recruiter asks you about your last company, if you have bad experience and you have to explain negative situations, just take care of your language. Remember, you are not speaking with a friend. Just in these cases, try to choose the words properly. And that's all. Just be yourself.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely important to be yourself. And that concludes this episode of the Altran Web TV show. We've had 5 essential tips on how to best succeed in interviews. The 5 tips we've looked at are: be prepared, be well rehearsed, take care of your appearance, think about your body language, and think about the kind of speech that you use. Stay tuned to Altran.tv for the next 5 tips in our next episode.